Welcome to NYLAG's Gala. We are so happy that you've joined us. My name is Ione Curva. I'm a supervising attorney in NYLAG's Domestic Violence Law Unit. You're about to hear from Preeti, a domestic violence survivor that I've worked with for the past few years.
I experienced domestic violence for over a decade, and it was in the 12th year of my relationship that I decided to walk out. So when I separated from my husband, I was accused of having eloped with a boyfriend. I was accused of having kidnapped my child. He claimed that there was never any domestic violence, that I was crazy, that I was making up things. And it was just a lot to process, especially when I had endured trauma for so long. And I had no confidence. I thought that no one would ever believe me. And I didn't have the strength or the voice to speak up for myself. And that's why I needed a good lawyer.
It's been a long journey. We represented her in a custody trial of her son that lasted for over 2 years, a divorce, constant safety planning, and eventually an appeal of the custody decision. Preeti was a survivor, working diligently and hard with me along the way to get whatever I needed. It was such a pleasure and inspiration to work with her.
I've decided that it's really important for me to be independent. I feel NYLAG has been there. It's been supportive. It's allowed me to go to grad school. It's allowed me to do so many things with peace of mind without, always having to worry about affording a good attorney. The future looks really great.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Hi, I'm Aman. And I'm 8 years old.
That's right. My son has autism. I decided to leave because of my son, because I felt that I could not be a good mother to him and support him in the way that he needed while I was going through trauma every single day. I always wondered what the purpose of my life was. 2 things have become very important to me: fighting domestic violence and the needs and rights of special needs people. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jill Rosenberg, and I'm honored to serve as the chair of the board of directors of NYLAG.
And I'm Beth Goldman, the president and attorney in charge of NYLAG.
I've served on NYLAG's board of directors for many years, but I've never been more proud of the organization than I am this year. In a year like no other, NYLAG has done what it does best. It responded to crisis immediately and resourcefully. I'm truly humbled and amazed by what NYLAG's amazing staff has been able to accomplish. While NYLAG continues to respond, we're also preparing for the future. A record number of New Yorkers are unemployed, facing eviction, or unsure where their next meal will come from. Many of those who will seek NYLAG services in the weeks and months ahead never thought that they would need to access free legal services, but they will. And as always, NYLAG will be there.
Thank you, Jill. We cannot do it without you, the community of supporters who make it possible for NYLAG to affect the lives of 90,000 people each year. People like Preeti and other clients you'll hear from tonight. Our staff is pretty awesome too, but they can't do it alone. We need to do this together. Our city has taken quite a hit this year, but our clients have taken the biggest hit, and they're going to need us as we move forward to rebuild. I am so heartened by the recognition by this community that access to justice is an essential part of the solution. Knowing that justice is not achieved as a society if it is unavailable and inaccessible to those experiencing poverty. I want to acknowledge 4 special members of this community who are being honored here tonight. We are eternally grateful to them for sticking with us through this difficult year. First, Abby Milstein, who served as our beloved board chair for 18 years and who weathered every storm with grit and grace and who gave everything of herself to NYLAG. We cannot ever fully acknowledge our debt to her. I am also personally very grateful to Abby for being a wonderful partner and mentor and friend to me. Thank you. Boyd Johnson of Wilmer Hale, recipient of our Visionary of Justice Award. He has leaned into this event and to NYLAG with every fiber of his body. He really gets it. And finally, to our dynamic couple, Roger Ferguson and Annette Nazareth, who are receiving our Corporate Leadership Award. When the world was falling apart last spring and we had to cancel our gala, their response was, "We're in it for the long haul." And they were. They were there, steadfast in their support for NYLAG. I want to thank all of you for being with us tonight and for your ongoing support.
Hi, I'm Michael Milstein, and I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to be here with you tonight, virtually of course, to introduce my mother, Abby, as she receives NYLAG's 30th Anniversary Legacy Award. My mother is one of the most thoughtful, kind, compassionate, and intelligent people I've ever come across. I'm biased, of course, but given the number of times people have told me how special and unique my mother is, I tend to believe them. As an only child, you're used to growing up with a whole lot of attention, and you tend to notice the other things that your parents spend time on. Growing up, for me, NYLAG was always one of those things. And from an early age, I had a really full comprehension of the incredible, worthwhile nature of the work that NYLAG did. I was always thrilled to be able to share my mother with such an incredible institution, and was delighted to see the happiness and fulfillment that working with the great people at NYLAG brought her every single day. When I was in high school, I was lucky to be able to volunteer at NYLAG and get to see firsthand both the people and the incredible outcomes that tangibly brought my mother so much joy. I'm so proud of her and grateful to the NYLAG team for acknowledging this incredible legacy she leaves behind. And with that, I want to introduce her and say, Mom, I love you. Dad and I are thrilled to see you get this well-deserved honor.
What a thrill to be introduced by my son, Michael. Happily, his summer as an intern let him share a little of my experience with NYLAG. I am so very fortunate to have my loving husband, Howard, and my wonderful son, Michael, sharing in all the special moments in my life. In 2010, when NYLAG held its first gala, I agreed to be an honoree to kickstart our foray into this kind of an event. In my speech that night, I told the story of my personal journey in becoming a lawyer, of representing my first client while still a student, of working with my inspirational law professor, Gary Bello, on a study of the work being done in many legal services offices, and of how in 1993, I came to join the board of a tiny organization called the New York Legal Assistance Group. As I look back now on my almost 30 years on the board of NYLAG and my 18 years as chair, I believe just as strongly in our mission as I did on the first day that I was introduced to NYLAG in its tiny two-room office in the Lincoln Building. NYLAG is about providing access to civil justice for people who can't afford a lawyer. It does so without being bureaucratic and without tying itself to restrictive cutoffs. It enhances its effectiveness by engaging in impact litigation, policy advocacy, and community education. It leverages its efforts with large numbers of volunteers and pro bono partners. It cares for the morale and development of its staff. It fosters creativity, and it does it all with an eye to excellence. As I reflect on the years of commitment of time and energy and resources to this unique organization, I am aware that I've reaped great rewards due to my deep commitment to the rightness of the cause. But it has also been rewarding for me because I worked for so many years alongside so many brilliant, accomplished, loyal, generous, and like-minded people. Every time I came to the NYLAG office, I could sense the intensity of people who truly believe in their work. Every time I came to a board or committee meeting, I found a room filled with warmth, camaraderie, and common purpose. Every time a staff member presented their amazing work to the board, we were all uplifted and inspired together. Every time I called a board member to ask him or her to do something for NYLAG, the answer was always yes. My warm congratulations to this evening's honorees, Boyd Johnson, Annette Nazareth, and Roger Ferguson. And congratulations as well to Jill, Beth, Helen Murphy, and the whole NYLAG team for arranging this virtual event. I am so grateful to all of you, my colleagues and friends, for this very special honor. NYLAG has meant so very much to me for almost 3 decades. I wish that it may continue to do its essential and excellent work in promoting justice for all for decades and decades to come.
Hi, so good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, of course. You want to come in and sit down?
Sure. The incident happened, unfortunately, is kind of hard to talk about, but I'm going to talk about. I was the only African American, and was 5 of us. The others was white. You know, they used to rough me up, and you know, so one day I walked in the office and they had the lights off, hoods over their head, and candles lit. They told me if I tell anybody, they'll throw me off the ship, and all that really scared me. Then I was crying. They said, "Oh, you want to go home?" You know, because I told them I want to go home. I don't want to be in. "Oh, you know, you ain't a man." You know, they really berated me. And what I didn't know now that I know then, that exacerbated my drinking and drug use here.
You've been clean since 2019, right?
My last drug was December 27, 2019. The last time I had alcohol was January 1st, 2020. So I've been clean 14 months and 23 days.
You put in a claim for PTSD.
Yes.
And it was denied.
It was denied, yes. It felt like a punch in the gut. And I didn't know what else to do. And that's what I did. I called you. I should have been getting my benefits 25 and 30 years ago, but I was using and I was all over the place.
And so when we got your decision,
oh boy, I'm feeling more stable. I could be like part of life, a better member of society. It's a joy to be alive. It's a joy being a veteran.
it's our honor to be able to give back that which you deserve. You know, these benefits, you deserve them for a long time. I'm glad we can get them for you now.
Thank you. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Anjan Sani, and I'm a partner at WilmerHale. We are honored to be a part of NYLAG's support of New Yorkers experiencing poverty and needing access to justice, especially during these extraordinary times. On behalf of the firm, congratulations to all of the honorees tonight, to Roger, Annette, and Abby. We salute your many contributions and congratulate you all on tonight's recognition. WilmerHale is especially proud of our dear friend and colleague, Boyd Johnson, the recipient of this year's Visionary of Justice Award, for his longstanding commitment to pro bono legal services and to giving back to the New York community. Congratulations, Boyd.
Hey everybody, and welcome. It's an honor to be here to speak to all of you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Preet Bharara. I used to be the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York until something abrupt happened. And now I'm teaching at NYU Law School. And I have a couple of podcasts and I wrote a book. But most importantly, for the purposes of this evening, I am the best friend of and introducer of your Visionary of Justice Award winner, Boyd Johnson. Those of you who know me and Boyd know that we've known each other our whole professional lives. But the first friend I made when I went to private practice after law school was Boyd, who was 2 doors down from me at Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, where we were both young associates. Then we worked together again when we were assistant U.S. attorneys, and we worked together again when I was the United States attorney and asked him to be my deputy. Boyd has cared about people and justice and fairness and doing the right thing by folks, especially people who are not privileged enough to have access to justice. He's devoted his life to it. I know no finer lawyer, and more importantly, no finer person than Boyd Johnson. So I congratulate him, but I also congratulate NYLAG on having the wisdom to give this award to him. What is it about the organization that is NYLAG and the work that they do that makes you so grateful to get this award this evening?
When I think about this past year and how much the pandemic impacted in just a disproportionate way the communities that NYLAG has served so well over the years. I mean, the service that NYLAG provided literally saved the lives of so many folks. Think about the Black community, the Latinx community, and the other communities of color in this city, and how much of their security has been at risk this past year, whether it was their jobs, their housing, or their health, their ability to find food. They lots of times didn't know where to turn. And NYLAG is a great organization for so many reasons, but at bottom, they do the hard work of getting access to justice for clients. And they established hotlines for clients this past year, including for clients who were suffering from COVID and in the hospital. And they provided them the roadmaps and the assistance and support to get access to justice that they needed. And I know that's made an incredible difference to all those clients. And I really think it's an inspiration for all members of the legal community in this city, and something that should inspire us.
You know, people like you and me, Boyd, who are lawyers, who have had a lot of benefits in our position. You and I would never have a problem with access to justice. We're lawyers ourselves. Once upon a time, we had subpoena power. We know a lot of folks. What is it that's happened in your life and career that has opened your eyes to this issue that often is not discussed as much as it might be, which is, you know, we talk about justice and the importance of fairness and the importance of institutions and the importance of systems and the importance of the people. We both talked about it and written about it, the importance of having the right kinds of people in the place that matters to do the right thing in the right way for the right reasons. But if someone doesn't have access to any of that, none of it matters. What's been your personal experience with that?
Well, I mean, the pandemic has really highlighted for me the privileges I enjoy. I mean, I'm a white, male, cisgender, heterosexual with Roman numerals at the end of my name, just to name a few of the privileges I enjoy. And I've become much more aware of the impact of that privilege in everything I do. Certainly as a lawyer, when I'm a litigant appearing in court, whether it's in person or on Zoom, there are advantages I get from that privilege where I'm there as a client in the same way I'm cloaked with the privileges that I have. And none of that's anything that I earned. It's just something I got. NYLAG is an equalizer in certain ways for folks. And it does bring them access to justice that is something I think folks like you and I just take for granted, right? It's a question of, well, did we get justice or not? But before you can experience it and get it and it can be delivered, you have to get access to it. And NYLAG has made that a possibility for so many clients who would not otherwise have had access.
Are there aspects of NYLAG's work that resonate with you specifically?
I think of examples like transgender child who's figured out through their courage and bravery who they actually are and just need the world to catch up. NYLAG does work for that community that is incredibly impactful, providing them avenues to justice in court and to vindicate the identity they've fought so hard to recognize. I think about the immigrant community and people who have come to this country and have found a way to contribute and have risked so much to come here. We've talked a lot about your family's journey here and sacrifices that they made and making a contribution now in a place. And then with the last 4 years, whether it's transgender folks or it's immigrants or it's all the other communities that, were systemically discriminated against, having fear that they might not be able to stay, having fear that they might not be recognized, having fear that their rights will be taken away. Those fears this last 4 years were real. And then the pandemic, it was just such a dark time for those folks. So NYLAG provided a ray of hope, provided a pathway to some access to justice. And I've heard some of the testimonials from the clients. It's literally life-changing work that lawyers at NYLAG have done for each and every one of them.
So can I ask you a broad philosophical question that we've talked about, and I teach along these lines at NYU, this idea of whether or not justice is done by laws and systems and constitutions, or justice is done by people. How do you think about that question?
Without the day-to-day work of NYLAG's attorneys fighting for justice for clients in courts in this city, all the laws that the state of New York, the city of New York can come up with just don't really mean anything to real people who have real need to have their problems addressed. So I think you've got to have both, but I think you've got to have a group of people, a legal community who is committed to fighting for justice and everything that they do for justice to be delivered.
So nothing is free in the world, even if services are provided for free. And part of the reason that we're all here in our support for NYLAG is to help them get the resources they need so they can provide services to the kinds of people we've been talking about. And you've done some of this already, but I want to be very sort of direct about the need for folks who are on this Zoom with us to be as generous as they can be and to give what they can give. Do you want to spend another minute making a direct pitch, Boyd?
Funding dries up, and with the uncertain realities of the pandemic economically, there's a lot of challenges for NYLAG just even to keep the lights on. So I think we've all been willing to give who are attending this gala. I think we should try to give more. Money matters, and it's essential to what NYLAG is doing.
Boyd, congratulations again on your honor. It's richly deserved. I miss working with you, but at least there are things we can do together like this that are for good causes. And I hope to see you soon. And thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, Preet, for taking the time to talk. And thank you again to NYLAG and all the warriors for justice at NYLAG who really do fight every day to get access to justice for clients. And thank you to everybody for supporting this gala. And let's all, as we come out of the pandemic, look forward with hope to the future, but also redouble our commitment to NYLAG and to the needs of their clients.
She was in the hospital. She was in the ICU, and she had COVID, and she proceeded to tell me her story, which I'll share with you. She had gotten sick. She was an educator, and in the middle of March, she went to a session on how to learn how to do remote teaching. And it was a crowded room, lots of people there learning the same thing. And a few days later, she got sick. She was terrified. She was worried about income. She had, from her emergency, from her hospital bed, reached out to her employer to see if she was going to be paid. She didn't know when she'd go back to work. And she was told that, she wasn't working enough hours to be entitled to sick pay. She was terrified, and she was so alone, and she was so afraid, and her desperation was palpable. It was just I just felt so much for her. Told her, I said, okay, we're going to look into this. And she was so relieved. She took so much comfort in the fact that, A, she was able to tell her story and that somebody was going to help her. When I started working on the case, I wanted to reach out to Ana Maria Seguro, my colleague at NYLAG, who leads our employment law practice. Not long after I found out from Ana Maria that my client was going to be paid by her employer, she sent me a text, and I'd like to share it with you. Ana Maria found out that you're to continue being paid. Hospital will set up food, medication delivery, and home care before you go home. Rest up for now, and we'll talk soon. Her reply was, sounds wonderful. Now I can really rest. It's been kind of a worrisome journey. So I decided I would reach out to the social worker just to check in and see how things were going. And that's when I found out she got worse and that she had passed away in the hospital, alone, like so many people have the past year. It was so much, and so many people on our team have gone through the same thing, had their clients die. But this particular client has just stuck with me because she was there and one of the first ones from the very beginning. And I just knew how alone and how much she had gone through during these few weeks of hospitalization and how much she wanted to get home. And all I can think about and what I have to hold on to is that we gave her some sort of peace and we help alleviate some of these concerns and worries in her last weeks. And for that, I'm grateful that we do the work that we do and we can serve the patients in the way that we do and our clients. And I'm grateful for our team of attorneys because they're just amazing.
Growing up, my parents had a lot of difficulty picking up the English language because they were working 60 plus hours a week and they didn't have time to stop and study. So growing up, they would ask me to translate for them. So I handled a lot of their bills. I'd fill out paperwork for them. And it's something that I always did. Around 2012, 2013, I was living with my mom before I got married, and we really grew a lot closer. She was working as a home health aide at the time herself. I really didn't see what was happening. And what was happening was that my mom was really starting to, her body was breaking down. So I was incredibly overwhelmed. I was frustrated. I was not in the right frame of mind. I was incredibly distracted. I was distracted by work. I was distracted in caring for my son, who was special needs at the time and having a lot of medical issues himself. So to have a nonprofit, to have NYLAG jump in and assist me was just a huge weight off of my shoulders. We were granted home care services. We were granted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is exactly what we needed. And it felt amazing. It felt like this big weight off all of our shoulders. It felt like a hug. Through the pandemic, it felt like I was being hugged by a friend and comforted. That's what NYLAG was for me. It meant the world to me. It meant the world to my mother.
I'm Joe Palizzotto, the Vice Chair of NYLAG's board. It is my honor to introduce this year's recipients of NYLAG's Corporate Leadership Award, Annette Nazareth and Roger Ferguson. We don't have the time today to review in detail the professional accomplishments of this incredible duo. You just need to choose one of their respective career stops. Vice Chair of the Fed, or SEC commissioner, for example, to get some idea of how successful they are. I'd like to focus instead on their character and what they've meant to so many colleagues and friends over the years. Roger and Annette are blessed with an open-mindedness and a passion to learn. This combination has made them trusted and valuable advisors to individuals and institutions alike. Annette and Roger possess a generosity of spirit, one that translates to a strong personal commitment to philanthropy, which they've demonstrated throughout their lives. But this generosity of spirit has also meant taking the time to mentor and develop countless younger colleagues along the way. Roger and Annette also understand that they have been role models for people, both known to them and not known. Finally, they are two of the nicest and best people one might encounter in life, unfailingly polite and respectful to everyone, big and small. It is a true miracle that these two remarkable human beings found each other. They are the embodiment of how professional success and splendid personal character can coexist, indeed, thrive together. This is the first time the two of them have been honored as a couple. I want to thank them for all they have done and will continue to do, and congratulate them on this deserved recognition.
Thanks to Joe Palazzotto for his generous introduction. Joe is a former colleague and a very valued friend of ours for many years. We congratulate him on his long-standing service to NYLAG as a board member.
Thanks as well to NYLAG for bestowing this recognition upon us. We are delighted to be honored this evening jointly. This is a first for us, and given our shared goals and values, and indeed our shared lives together, it is particularly exciting to be doing this as a couple.
The fact that we must meet remotely this year highlights what a challenging moment this is in our national history. The pandemic has laid bare what those of you who work tirelessly for NYLAG have known for a long time, that access to services, whether it be access to justice, to decent housing, or to appropriate health services, is sadly unequal and severely strained. In our democracy, where all citizens should benefit from equal rights under the law, we see that one zip code is a major determinant of numerous outcomes: employment opportunities, housing, education, health, justice, and even life expectancy being among them.
The inequities in economic outcomes, opportunities, and safety for individuals and families must be addressed head on if we are to thrive as a nation. Many people are under the mistaken belief that achieving greater equity in economic outcomes is a zero-sum game, meaning that some must lose if others are to get ahead. In fact, the analysis and the evidence strongly suggest that closing the income and wealth gaps will benefit all by making the economic pie larger for everyone. Additionally, the evidence is mounting that bringing diverse points of view to bear in the business context also leads to better outcomes. Put it another way, we can all do well by doing good.
Despite the challenges we face, we remain optimistic that we can create a more just society. We are honored tonight to celebrate all that NYLAG is doing to contribute to this noble outcome. We are thrilled to be in the company of so many who have done so much to make NYLAG a success. We are really here to honor all of you tonight. We acknowledge your many loyal supporters. We commend your leadership, your staff, and your board for all that they do. And we honor your volunteers who work tirelessly for the rights of NYLAG's clients. Like each of you, Roger and I share a belief in the importance of protecting the rights of our citizens and our families, and to create a better world for all. Thanks again for this great honor.
Good evening. My name is Scott Musoff from Skadden Arps, and I'm honored to be on the NYLAG board and co-chair of the Resiliency Fund.
And my name is Milt Williams, and I am also on the NYLAG board, and along with Scott, co-chair of the Resiliency Fund Gala event. And I'm from Walden Mock in Haran.
We launched the Resiliency Fund because this year palpably demonstrated that many in the legal community prospered while many New Yorkers did not. And NYLAG serves the crucial function of both providing legal services and access to those in need, supporting racial equity and inclusion, and especially for the upcoming year, rebuilding New York in a fair and equitable manner. And we can't do it without the necessary funds to accomplish our mission. So we thank all of you that have already participated in the Resiliency Fund, and this will be continuing throughout the rest of the year. So we urge you, those that haven't, to please do, and to let your friends and colleagues know as well. And now I'll turn it over to my friend, Milt.
Well, look, I can't tell you how near and dear an organization like NYLAG is to my heart. The services that we provide at NYLAG are essential. We have a significant impact on many individuals' lives, and you're being part of this gala and lending your support to it. And we ask you moving forward to continue to lend support to NYLAG. It's so important. As a young boy, I watched my father run a legal services organization in Hunts Point in the Bronx. And I saw the impact that what he did with respect to those individuals' lives. It stayed with me. And so it's really an honor to be part of NYLAG. And it's certainly an honor to be part of this gala and co-chairing it with Scott. If you would like to virtually toast any of the individuals honored here tonight following this event, please use the event chat for a link to the appropriate Zoom room.
Stay well, good evening, and hopefully next year we'll be in person.
Thank you for coming. Have a great night.
Thank you for coming. Please support NYLAG. Your support is very important to us.
Thank you, and I hope that you all support NYLAG so that we can continue to help.
Thank you so much for listening and for joining in. Please support NYLAG and all the important work that it does in the community. It's helped my family. It's helped many other immigrant families, and it's continuing to do so.
NYLAG is working really hard to ensure that people can age with dignity and get the care they need, so please support us in that work.
Thank you for coming tonight. Have a good evening.